going to discuss about speed and velocity. Ayan. So, some computation in speed and velocity. Okay, topic pa rin po natin in physics. So, tara, start tayo. Unahin natin, ano ba yung goal natin for today? So, our goal for today is to investigate what is needed to describe motion completely. And also, the main topic for today is to compare and contrast the speed and velocity. Ayan. So, yan ang tatargetin natin today. So, tara, simulan natin. Before we start this, to describe the motion or accurately and completely, we need to set a reference point or a frame of reference. Yan ang kinakailangan natin. Kasi we cannot tell or we cannot describe an object that is moving without using a reference point. So, tara, paano ba yun? So, let's read this. An object is in motion if it changes position relative to a reference point. Tama. Tama nga naman. Masasabi mong gumagalaw ka or there is a motion that is happening kung meron kang pagbabasihan kung gaano na ba kalayo o nasaan ka na, magmula saan. Yun, di ba? So, object can we call stationary like tree, a sign, or a building is making a good reference point, di ba? Siyempre, mahirap gawing reference point yung ang gumagalaw na bagay, di ba? For example, tanong ka ng location, may pupuntahan ka. Di ba, usually, you use a reference point. Halimbawa, sinabi, pagdating mo dun sa may gas station na Shell, papasok ka sa may kanto na yon, di ba, may reference point. Ganun kahalaga ang reference point. O umaalis ba yung gas station? Hindi. Pero hindi mo po pwedeng gawing reference point yung pag nakita mo yung mamang nakatayo dun sa may tindahan. Pwede bang reference point yun? Hindi po pwede yun. Kasi paano pag umalis na yung mama doon? Ala na. Di ba? Yun yung sinasabi natin. So here, in our presentation, the passenger can use a tree as a reference point to decide if the train is moving. So, a tree makes a good reference point because it is a stationary from the passenger's point of view. Di ba? Makikita mo syempre, papalayo ka ng papalayo or papalapit ka ng papalapit sa isang reference point tulad ng puno. Tama nga naman. So, tuloy natin. So, in describing motion, whether or not an object is in motion depends on the reference point that you choose. Let's say, for example, here, we have a relative motion from the plane. Okay? Which is where meron tayo rito dalawang skydivers. If we're going to use the reference point, for example, I'm the diver 1, tapos ikaw yung diver 2. Ayan, dito. If I'm going to use a reference point, which is yung kasama kong diver or ikaw, hindi mo masasabing gumagalaw ka kasi hindi naman kayo naglalayo o naglalapi sa isa't isa. Pero if we're going to use the reference point as the ground or the airplane mismo na tinalunan ninyo, you can say that you are in motion because we can say that you are moving away from the plane and you're moving towards to the ground, di ba? So you can say now, or you can now describe your motion. Then we have two reference point. The point ko sa nagmula, which is the airplane, and the point ko sa papunta, the ground, di ba? And one of the quantity that we're going to use here in diniscuss natin nakaraan, yung distance. When an object moves, it goes from point A to point B. Diba? That is what we call the distance traveled. And the standard unit for distance is in meters. And the definition is distance is how much ground an object has covered during its motion. Diba? Next naman po na gagamitin natin is displacement. I already told also ito in our presentation sa ating PowerPoint na binakita nung nakaraan, which is displacement. Ginagamit naman niya kapag velocity. Distance kapag speed. Di ba? So, knowing how far something moves is not sufficient. You must also know in what direction the object moves. So, displacement is how far how far out of a place the object is. It is the object's overall change in position. So, naituro ko na sa inyo to, di ba? Recall na lang natin. Yung distance, gaano kalayo yung na-cover mo. Yung displacement, gaano ka kalayo mula sa starting point to the end point na tinawid mo or in the straight path like this ano sa drawing natin ano. If you're going to say distance, ito yung distance yung na-covered mo magmula dito. Yan, distance yan. So, ang distance, walang kinalaman si direction dyan. So, ito yung magiging distance mo. Pero pag displacement, magmula sa pinagmulan mo hanggang doon sa dulo narating mo, yan yung displacement. Yung pinaka-shortcut point, di ba? So, ayan. So, speed. Ito na. It is a rate. Bilis. What does that mean? A change over time. Ano ba yung change? Pag sinabi natin change, it means change in position. In other word, which this is distance, di ba? Remember, the standard unit for speed is meter per second. Okay, yung standard unit niya. Pero it also uses kilometer per hour sa mga malakihan na. Pero pagka ganito karaniwan, pang standard talaga natin is meter per second. So now, let's go on with the calculation. Okay, average speed. It is the rate for the duration of the entire trip. This can be calculated. So let's ready for the equation. The formula for speed is equals to distance over time. Okay, distance over time. Okay, average speed. Okay, V is for velocity. Okay, pagka speed ginagamit natin V din, kaya lang ang pinagkaiba nga nila yung velocity, tandaan nyo, merong direction. Yung speed, walang direction. D for distance, T for time. And what unit do we use here? Once again, okay, we use meter per second. So let's try a problem. Ito muna, speed muna. Okay, in calculating speed, if you know the distance and object travels in a certain amount of time, you can calculate the speed of the object. So dalawa lang yung kailangan mo, no? Distance at saka time. So we are also having devices usually used to measure the speed of a certain moving object. What we call this this is the instantaneous speed. It is the velocity of an object at a certain time, di ba? So in this scenario, makikita mo no, meron kang instantaneous speed which is showing 22 km per hour. Yung average speed, ito naman yung speed mo from the entire trip until this current trip mo, no? 15 km per hour. Kasi pag sinabi nating instantaneous speed, it is the speed on a particular time. Kasi hindi naman siya constant no? Meron mga pagkakataon na bumibilis ka, bumabagal ka. Yung average, ito naman po yung speed mo, pinaka-average na pinagsama na yung mabagal at saka mabilis mong takbo. Kung saan ito yung average speed mo on the entire trip. Okay? So, describing motion, velocity. Speed describes only how fast something is moving. To determine the direction, you need to know the velocity. So, velocity includes the speed of an object and the direction of its motion. Sinabi ko sa inyo, it's either to the left, to the right, or upward, downward, di ba? O, pwede rin pong north, east, west, and south. So, velocity. Because velocity depends on direction as well as speed, the velocity of an object can change even if the speed of the object remains constant. So the speed of this car shown in the figure might be constant, but its velocity is not constant because the direction of the motion is always changing. O, di ba? Laging nagbabago nga naman. So, velocity is the description of an object's speed and direction. For example, a sailboat, direction changes, its velocity also changes, even if its speed stays the same. If the sailboat slows down and at the same time it changes direction, how will its velocity be changed, di ba? Okay, ito na yun, ano? So, we have here speed versus velocity. How are speed and velocity similar? Pareho silang sumusukat kung gaano kabilis ang isang bagay na gumagalaw. Ano naman pinagkaiba nila? Ang velocity may direction at ang speed wala. Kaya, is velocity more like distance or displacement? Why? Displacement po because it includes direction. Recall natin na pinag-aralan natin na displacement para sa velocity, distance para sa speed. Okay? Okay, graphing the speed. In graph, pagka nakita nyo yung graph at ganito ang itsura niya, it is slanting upward. It shows that the speed is increasing. But if the graph is flat like this, it means that the object is, sabihin natin nakahinto. The object stopped because the time doesn't change. It doesn't decreases or increases while your distance is still the same. So it means this is on halt or nakahinto. And kapag naganto yung slope na ulit, tumaas ulit, ibig sabihin it begins to move. Maybe it is now compared to be at different speed naman na kasi iba na yung slope niya. Iba na yung slope. Compare this, no? The steeper the slope, the faster it moves. The lower the slopes, mas mababa yung angle of slopes niya, mas mabagal ang takbo niya. Di ba? So once again, the steepness of the line of the graph is called the slope. So the steeper the slope, the greater the speed, and the constant slope represent the motion of the constant speed. Okay? Ayan. So, formula. Ito yung tinatawag nilang takip method. Tingnan mo, may kamay dyan na pinatatakip na. The speed is equal to distance over time. So we can derive this equation by simply using the triangle method, which is on the top of the triangle is the distance or displacement, this is the speed or the velocity, and then this is the time. As you can see, kunyari ang hinahanap mo ay ayan, di ba, distance, speed, tapos ito, no? Ano tinakpan? Time. Okay. Pwede mo siyang, pagka tinakpan mo yung time, ang matitira distance over speed. So, ibig sabihin na magiging formula mo, time is equals to distance over speed. Ito, no? Yan. Kunyari naman, tinakpan mo, speed. So, ang mangyayari, speed is equals to distance over time. Distance over time. O, yan, di ba? Mas madali mag-derive dito sa triangle method. Kapag distance naman yung tinakpan mo, magkatapat, ibig sabihin, multiply. So, distance is equals to time times speed. O, ito, di ba? O, yan. So, mas madali itong gamitin pagka, no? Hindi ka na magde-derive. O, tara, let's solve this problem. Okay. What is the speed of the sailboat that is traveling 120 meters in 60 seconds? Step 1 natin gagawin, decide what the problem is asking. Ano ba tinatanong? So, ang tinatanong is speed of the boat. So, ang kailangan mo, speed. Pag speed, hindi mo na kailangan ng direction. Kailangan mo lang distance and time. So, what is the formula needed to calculate speed? Speed is equals to distance over time. So, solving the problem, just using our formula, di ba? Sabi ko nga, speed is equals to distance over time. Ipalit lang natin distance, 120 meters divided by our time, 60 seconds. So, 120 divided by 60 is equals to 2. So, ang ating speed now is 2 meter per second. O, yan na yung sagot natin. O, di ba? 2 meter per second. Now, what is the, try natin daw to, no? What is the speed of a car that is traveling 150 miles in 3 hours? Okay. Pupunta tayo sa whiteboard. Mag-whiteboard tayo. Okay, solve natin yung kung kanina tinatanong is what is the speed? So, speed ang tinatanong. Tapos, meron tayong given na distance na 150 miles. Tapos, ang time natin is 3 hours. Kapag ganito, miles per hour, pwede na to, ano? Hindi mo na kailangan i-convert. Maliban na lang kung hiningi or sinabi dun sa tanong na i-convert mo siya into meter per second or into kilometer per hour. Pero kung wala naman, pwede mo nang idiretso to. So, what is the formula? Speed is equals to distance over time. So, substituting the value, our distance is 150 miles divided by 3 hours. So, ang unit natin is miles per hour. So, 150 divided by 3. Kakalki pa ba yan? Hindi na, no? 50. Tama, no? 50 miles per hours. So, ito na yung sagot natin. 50. Sorry, hindi kita pala. So, 50. Lipat ko lang ng konti. 50 miles per hour. So, ito na yung ating magiging speed. O, ganun lang, di ba? So, balik tayo sa ating PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so ayan. So, ayun yung sagot natin, 50 miles per hour. So, that's it. Ganun lang po kadali yung pag-solve sa speed and velocity. Tandaan nyo lang, ang velocity, kailangan dadagdagan mo siya ng direction. So, salamat sa pakikinig and have a nice day. Bye-bye!